Welcome in, One Nation, to another episode of the Hive podcast. TJ Winger today, joined by Patrick Moore. Patrick, thanks so much for joining me.
No problem. Glad to be here.
So, men's lacrosse season's a big deal here at the campus of University of Lynchburg, and the season starts this upcoming week. Got to be an exciting time for you, but first I kind of want to just talk about you as a person, as a player, your journey to the University of Lynchburg. Let me start by asking, what made you fall in love with lacrosse?
So I'm from Alabama and not known for being a hotbed. Like, we got guys from Maryland, Baltimore, and so Birmingham is not really a hotbed for lacrosse, but it's kind of weird. Like, my neighbor 2 doors up, who went to the same school as us, like, he started playing, got my older brother involved, and so it was just a matter of, like, it's probably like a year long, like, just going to his games, and picked it up. And there's kind of like I guess in terms of why I became a goalie, is kind of, the big brother, little brother kind of idea. Like, someone's got to stop the shot.
Sure.
And so I think that's kind of how it ended up. Also, the goalie on his team, I enjoyed watching that position. When I played baseball, I was a catcher, and so for whatever reason, it was just kind of an easy flow into that.
You handle things being thrown in your direction. Exactly.
Direction, yeah.
Well, you even mentioned it there. Alabama, Lynchburg, Virginia, not exactly neighbors. Love to know what made you want to become a Hornet.
So, growing up, I actually spent a decent amount of time in Virginia because my dad's from Northern Virginia. So driving up 81, like, whether I remember it or not, like, we did that a lot. So not totally, foreign to the state. But one of my goalie coaches in high school, or throughout my middle school and high school, he actually played here in the, early 90s and played against Coach Kudelka when he was at Gettysburg. So for whatever reason, he, recommended I look at it, and has kept in touch with Coach K and is still an alumni of the school. So kind of a cool connection. Had a bunch of club coaches recommend, hey, this is, a program that's really well known in Division III, and so it kind of went from there.
No doubt. I didn't even talk about Coach K, former keeper at Gettysburg. Obviously, as a head coach, he's making a lot of big decisions, and, he's a leader of men first and foremost. But considering he does have some background in your position, what is it like being able to lean on him and say, hey, Coach, what has happened when this happened to you, or how did you handle this, or what are some of the things you think I could polish up? How does that help you?
So it's been cool because the past 2 years, so my freshman year and sophomore year, we've had Coach CJ Santora, who played here, and he was our goalie coach. So he was really the one that was hands-on. Not saying, obviously, Coach K has had his say in, what we do and how we do it, but Coach Santora was really working with us day-to-day. And now Coach Santora is not here anymore, so Coach Kudelka is really being more hands-on with the goalies. And we have Nate Schaefer, who's been injured, but he's been our shooter, and Coach K is really able to kind of critique our technique and give us feedback. So that's really been something, whether or not I knew it going in, that's been something that has really influenced my, improvement from freshman year to now. So it's been pretty cool.
Awesome. And, now we're at the very end of the preseason. With that, you got a couple different things. We'll talk about the scrimmages y'all played here in just a moment. But first, preseason accolades. You're a preseason honorable mention as an All-American. You and Brett Rogers share that honor. Kyle Lewis makes it as an All-American third-team preseason. That's awesome. That showcases the only team in the ODAC to have players named to that All-American status. That speaks a lot about this program. With that, depending on what preseason poll you're looking at, Lynchburg's number 5 in the country, they're number 6. All that to say, the expectations are high, not only in this building, on this campus, but across the country. So talk to me about what that means for you as a player, the program, and how do you handle those high expectations?
I think, the preseason stuff, it's cool, I guess, to have your name, but the way I look at it, on one of them I'm honorable mention, or, someone's honorable mention, and the other one, they're third team, second team, it doesn't matter. So I kind of look at it as they take a bunch of names, throw them in a hat, and kind of pick them out. So it's kind of cool to have my name up there, and obviously there is, we earn the right to, be on those lists and be ranked so high in the nation. But when it comes down to it, we have our sights set on goals that we have as a team, and, we could have 0 people on, we could be ranked,
Sure.
outside the top 20, or we could be, have 0 people on the All-American polls, and our goals would still be the same. So I don't think that says so much about our expectations as it does other people's, quote unquote expectations for us. So.
No doubt. And when you look at the preseason and then post-regular season, accolades and whatnot, there's a mix of subjectivity and objectivity in there. Preseason is a little bit more subjective. What do you think the best players, what do you think the best teams are? Once you get to the end of the year, you have some more updated stats, if you will, more finalized projections and such, and it becomes a little more objective there. But now let's talk about these scrimmages. This is super fun. First, y'all go to the University of Virginia. We were just talking about it before we started recording. 2-time national champion. So this is not just, hey, a D1 school, it's not that far away. This is one of the best programs in the country. So talk to me about what it means to get the opportunity to line up against one of the best teams inside the entire nation.
I think it's really cool. Even personally, coming from the background that I have, I don't know if I ever would have expected, to play the, national champion,
Right.
even if I'm at a Division I school. So, I'm at a small Division III school and I'm scrimmaging the best team in the country. I think that's pretty cool. And I think we take a lot of pride in that because, in our locker room we have pictures from them coming to Lynchburg for several years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of cool that Coach Kudelka has a good relationship with Coach Tiffany, who's the head coach there, and with Coach Starja, who was the head coach. So for years we've been able to, really go up against some of the best players to play. So we take a lot of pride in that.
And it kind of goes back to those preseason accolades, that respect being shown by one of the best D1 schools in the country, one of the best teams inside the entire nation, willing to play a D3 school, showcases that are not just a regular D3 school across the country.
Right.
Then the second scrimmage is against Catholic this past Saturday. I'm over at women's basketball, I should say. I step outside Turner, and I see this nice crowd gathered outside of Schellenberger Field. It's a scrimmage. And give credit to a lot of parents making that drive. This game doesn't count in the record books, right? None of these stats are official, not a win in the books. But I think it speaks to, one, the type of support and love for this program that there is, but people are ready to see y'all play. And it kind of goes back to those expectations. But I wanted to ask you, as a player, you go through the off season, you go through the early year workouts and practices, and maybe you could forget about what it's like to have a fan base right there to support you. What was it like having that type of a crowd there on hand for a scrimmage?
It's a scrimmage, so I guess you wouldn't expect, so many people to come out. I think Catholic actually had a good number of parents and stuff come down from, I guess they're in the D.C. area, so that was cool too. And, if we have that many for a scrimmage, it's going to be all right, so this Saturday we're away, but then the next Saturday we're at home, so it's kind of that building of anticipation for, hey, everyone's getting excited. All of our, I think a lot of the athletes come to our, whatever games, we all go to their games. So it's kind of a cool relationship that we have with the other teams, and they show up to our games, we show up to their games. We've got all the Code Red games that, almost everyone goes to. So I think it's a cool atmosphere. And we as a team, we take a lot of pride in, where we play, and we play on Schellenberger Field. And so, we got the dorms on one side, we got everyone's, standing on the fence on the other side, and it's pretty cool. Regardless of who we're playing, there's always a good crowd, and that does get exciting as you get closer to the start of the season.
Absolutely. And even to that point, as the regular season progresses and the WNL show up and those other top teams in the ODAC, or even Tufts, that's a big game in the middle of the year. That's going to be some awesome environments, and I'm super psyched to see what it looks like there at Schellenberger Field. So leaving that point, still talking about the the off season, I'd love to know, as a keeper, what are you focusing on, or at least coming into the season, what were some of your points of emphasis for yourself?
I think, and I'm sure I speak, any goalie, consistency is always going to be the biggest thing. So fine tuning the things that I do well, but also looking, I watch a lot of film on myself. And my younger brother, who's also a goalie, he watches a ton of film on me, and he'll be like, "Why are you doing this? And why are you doing that?" And I got to have an answer. So, but finding things that maybe were holding me back and adjusting those things to be more consistent. Because if you're at this stage, any goalie at the college level has the fundamentals. So maybe not working. Obviously honing the fundamentals, but maybe not trying to learn the fundamentals. It's more about doing them at 110% every time, and preparing yourself, wherever there's a shot on the field, you're going to make the same movement to the ball. So I think for me, throughout the off season, throughout the fall, and even over winter break, that was really where my focus was just being more consistent and, kind of fine-tuning those little points.
Absolutely. Trying to be able to make those moves quicker, right? So that makes sense. Now, like we said, we're pretty much at the regular season. Starts Saturday. On the road to start, but talk to me about what it means for you. The season's here. It's go time.
I think I'm just excited to see, where we end up going. We've got a really good schedule. I think we play the best schedule every year. Like you mentioned, the Tufts game is, middle of the week. Mm-hmm. We're really excited for that one. But, this coming Saturday, we don't, it's not about who we play. It's just we get to play. And so, last year was pretty crazy with, we had a game or two canceled and we had to reschedule. We played a bunch of teams twice. This year, I don't think we play anyone twice in the regular season. So it's going to be cool to, play some different teams and go to different places. And I don't know, it's a lot of it's kind of cliche to say almost, but it is a journey. And so it's kind of excited that the journey, we've already had a couple scrimmages, but now we're 0-0 and things count. So it's exciting to, start on Saturday and then build from there going forward.
Yeah, and when I talked to Coach Kadelka earlier this week, he joined me for a men's basketball broadcast at halftime and made it clear. Goal is to win an ODAC title and then get to the NCAA tournament. And once you're there, anything's possible. In your eyes, same goal, I assume, but talk to me about some maybe your personal goals, and then you can branch it out, team expectations.
For me, I don't know if I quantify it necessarily, but I do want to just be the best that I can be and, give as much as I can to the team. So I think as far as a team goal, we kind of have pride in the fact that we dominate our conference. We had a really good year last year, and so now it's just, all right, we dominate our conference and then we got to go dominate 5 games in the NCAA tournament to get to the national championship. So we fell short last year, some hiccups here and there, but we really do want to get to that Memorial Day tournament and win that. So I think as a team, everyone's bought into that being the goal. So.
Well, buy-in's a huge part of it, and I think that's one of the biggest strengths about Coach K and a lot of the coaches here. Players buy into what they're selling, and I'm super pumped up to see all. I have never broadcasted men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse, so I'm ready to see this different type of environment, especially at a school where this is in a lot of ways our football program, so I am pumped up to see y'all play. Thank you so much for joining me today, Patrick.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for us here on the Hive Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in this afternoon. Be sure to come back next week when we have a new episode for you. For Patrick Moore, my name's TJ Winger, and until next week, we are signing off.